The biggest of which, of course, belonging to their quarterback. Reports coming out of Dallas saying they're not far along at all, with Dak's extension. Chris Broussard, why do you think this deal isn't done yet?
Because the Cowboys don't want to pay him $60 million. Before seeing you're going to lead us somewhere if we pay you $60 million. The Cowboys are looking at it like, we've been paying you $40 million, and you've had a team full of Pro Bowlers every year, and we haven't gotten past the second round of the playoffs. Here are the teams with the most Pro Bowlers in the 2020s. Dallas, you see, is tied for fourth. What do all those teams have in common before them? A couple of them, the Chiefs have won a Super Bowl.
Well, everyone's been to a Super Bowl except for Baltimore's been to an AFC title game.
Right.
Yep.
And the Cowboys haven't gotten past the second round. So if they're looking at it like, hold on, if we're paying you 40 and we can put more Pro Bowlers around you and you can't get us deep into the playoffs, then what about if we pay you 60 and we have to put less Pro Bowlers around you, fewer Pro Bowlers? How far are we going? I also think, look, we mentioned Trey Lance. I don't know how good he is, if at all, but he's a name they've mentioned.
Yeah, you've always been a Trey Lance guy.
Also, and I don't think this would be the replacement, but I bet you Jerry Jones does have in the back of his mind, we did go 4-1 with Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush!
And I'm not saying he thinks of him as the replacement, but I do think he thinks we can get somebody who might not be as good as that.
Listen, I understand that people roll their eyes at Cooper Rush, but he's probably like, man, I just saw a team with Brock Purdy at quarterback play in the Super Bowl. So if we can just have that much talent, then maybe we could. Go ahead, Danny.
I'm a truther on this. I just think Dak is going to re-sign in Dallas.
This offseason?
Yeah. I don't know.
$60 million. They go.
Yeah. I don't know why it hasn't been done yet. I think they cost themselves a few million. Yes, they didn't win when it was 40 and now it'll be 60, but the cap goes up also. There is just no precedent in league history from moving on from a 30-year-old quarterback who is healthy, who is a runner-up MVP, who you drafted and you developed and you sat through the 23 touchdowns, 6 interception years, and then he has the career year. Now he's 30-plus touchdowns, 4,500-plus yards, 3 straight 12-win seasons. You're like, no, we'll move on from him. I think it makes no sense to move on from Dak. I think it makes no sense to move on from Micah Parsons, top 5 defensive player. But if you want to say the money's getting too much for the star players, we absolutely have seen teams move on from guys like CeeDee Lamb before. Now, CeeDee Lamb, I think, is great, but you could make an argument he's a 4.5, 40-yard dash guy. He's not a burner. He had 180-plus targets last year. He had 150-plus targets 2 years ago. That his production is more a product of volume and opportunity. And we see so many great receivers come into the league. Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins. Like, we've seen in their prime receivers who got a little too expensive, a team move on from them. So, like, if Dallas is really so...
If they were thinking that, that's fair, but if they were thinking that, they'd have signed Dak already.
Maybe. But again, this whole thing, I mean, Mike McCarthy's a lame duck. They have huge contract decisions on all of them. Yeah. We've just never seen a team move on from a quarterback this good when he's this young. We've never seen it.
Let me address CeeDee Lamb, because I'll add a couple more. A.J. Brown got traded. Stephon Diggs got traded. Guys who were more contractually in this part of their career. Devontae and Tyreek had already gotten their second contracts. Were looking for their third. A.J. and Stephon Diggs were looking for their second contract, and that's when they got traded for first-round picks for teams that then went out and drafted a wide receiver. I am not dead set that Dak is not going to be the quarterback in Dallas next year. I am dead set they are not signing him this offseason. That they are going to let this year play out, and I actually understand that. Because he's not going to get much more expensive than he is right now. I don't think you save massive amounts of money by doing it. I think you could have saved a lot of money by doing it a year ago, but now,
even a few months
ago, you could have saved some money before Trevor got his deal, Jared Goff got his. But now that those deals are in, the other deals coming down the pike, Tua and Jordan Love, aren't going to reset the market, right? Like, the market is right now 55-ish million. Dak reportedly wants 60. A year from now, how different is that going to be? Is it 62 if he has an excellent year? I don't know, but it's not going to be 70. And I think, most teams want to avoid the circus of their quarterback going into a contract year. I don't think Jerry Jones wants to avoid the circus. I think he welcomes the circus.
He's the ringleader.
And I also understand the argument of, we don't, as the late, great Jerry West would say, the worst place to be in sports is that thick middle. And we think that if we have this quarterback who can't get us over the hump but is paid like the best in the league, we are going to be stuck there.
They won
so
12 games and scored more points than any team in the NFL last year.
Dan, and I had them going to the Super Bowl all year long. But they have won 12 games in 3 straight years.
Yeah.
And they're the only team in NFL history to do that and not make a conference championship game or a Super Bowl in that run.
He doesn't exactly light it up in the playoffs.
Well, that's right. And I know it's a small sample size sport. I get that. I don't blame the Cowboys if they're like, you know what, we'll roll the dice on this one at this point. I don't think they're signing him this offseason. I really don't.
I think that'd be crazy. And cost certainty will help when it comes time to CD and Parsons. It's generally speaking always better to do these contracts early.
If you're going to eventually do them. I just don't know that they're eventually going to do
I think it's a prove-it year for him.
All right, let's stay here real quick. Let's look at the
talent.
NFC East odds. Eagles, even money. Cowboys, plus $1.45, and then Giants and Commanders at 10-1 lottery tickets. I mean, I know the answer to this, Brew, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Brew, are you surprised the Cowboys are not the favorites, even though they're not in a supernatural funk? They didn't have to move on from all their coordinators. They didn't fall apart at the end of last season, and they won more games, and they both embarrassed themselves in the playoffs. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm surprised that you and anyone else with breath in their lungs thinks the Cowboys should be favored in the NFC East. I mean, he threw this out there hoping I wouldn't say it. First of all, no one's repeated as champion in the NFC.
That doesn't matter.
Years.
That does not matter.
Well, last year when I picked the Eagles to repeat, for some reason it mattered.
I never brought up that silly point. You would bring it up and be like, I'm doing it despite the fact that in 2005 Washington couldn't repeat or whatever it was.
There are better answers, though. Yeah. There's better evidence. All right. The Cowboys have a worse roster. All right. They lost 2 of their top offensive linemen. They lost their best running back and replaced them with an elder citizen. All right. They have their coach, their defensive coordinator who's new, and their quarterback on lame duck deals. All right. And then I look at the Eagles. They added one of the top running backs in the league.
Lost their center.
They'll be fine. They're moving Cam
He's
Jurgens
a Hall of Famer.
Fine.
Maybe the best ever at what he does.
Offensive linemen get replaced all the time.
That's what you just said. Dallas lost 2.
But they lost 2.
Oh, okay.
The Eagles lost 1. And they still are going to have one of the best lines in the league.
How about the defense?
C.J. Gardner-Johnson, welcome back.
That's going to fix this.
You led the league in interceptions
Show the numbers.
when you played with us.
Show the defensive numbers. That's going to C.J. Gardner-Johnson is going to fix that.
Let
then
him
you should get Chris Jones.
Because I got more.
Okay.
I got more.
Yeah.
Bryce Huff, 10 sacks last year. Reddick is older. Huff got 10 sacks last year coming off the bench. All right, come on. He's going to do damage. He's going to do damage. He didn't start.
He's going to do damage. Rush specialist.
All right, Jalen Carter is going to be better. Okay? And Cooper DeJean, you know you like him.
I do
You've
like him.
You've been seeing him dunk on YouTube, all those highlights.
Yeah,
and then Quinion Mitchell.
Yeah, I like their draft.
They had a great draft.
I like their draft, but that's not going to fix 30th rank.
You know as well as anybody that rookies can play well in the defensive backfield.
I understand.
So that's why they should easily be favored. Yeah. I know you're not drinking the Kool-Aid.
They should be co-favorites. Yes.
Would you agree that Philadelphia they made moves that made them better, at least on paper, and Dallas made moves that made them worse?
Dallas was way better last year.
Way better?
Yes.
That's exactly right. There are the same number of strengths and weaknesses on both of these teams. There are questions about Dallas's depth and the losses from the offseason. There are questions about coordinator changes. And it's like the new defensive coordinator is Mike Zimmer? Yeah. He's done it before.
And he's on a one-year deal.
Everyone's on a one-year deal. Everyone's on a one-year deal.
But he's new.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, It's plus 110 and plus 140. These teams are the same. It's going to come down to who wins when they play each other head to head.
Which, by the way,
that's what's going to come down to.
It's going to be 1-1.
Dak rolls
Yeah.
against the. And I don't know if we have time to show it. Dak rolls against the NFC East, and Jalen Hurts does not. That's another reason. Like, this is just, Danny, you're right.